Adobe Photoshop is by all means the best for creating, editing, and manipulating graphics. Welcome to Now Academy. My name is Napoleon Wayne, and in this video we're simply going to talk about the introduction of Photoshop. Now quickly, we're just going to talk about what Photoshop is about, and then do a brief of the Photoshop interface, and then we'll move to a little or a simple analysis of what Photoshop can do. If you haven't seen my video that talks about the total package of Adobe, the link to that video you'll find in the details of this video, so click there to see what the total Adobe package is about. But for Adobe Photoshop, it's specially made for graphics. So if you're a graphics designer, a photo editor, and some of those things that has to do specifically with graphics, every other graphics creating software you may have seen in time past, or that you're seeing now, that you would see in future, like I said earlier, they are just a scoop of Adobe Photoshop. Adobe has a bunch of softwares for different things. Like I said, check in the link in the description of this video. You'll find a link to the video that talks about what the total Adobe package is about. Next is the Adobe Photoshop interface. So the first thing we want to do here is to launch our Adobe Photoshop. Alright, so let's just give the system some time to think. Adobe Photoshop is coming up already. Obviously, this might take a longer time than the Microsoft Paint as seen in the earlier video. Okay, so our Photoshop is up now. First thing we want to notice on these home pages, you can see my name up here, and then to the upper left corner of the screen, you can notice this Photoshop logo here, and then we have the new file in case we just want to create a new file. We have open, just to open existing documents, probably earlier worked on. This is the home, which is where we currently are. We have our files, maybe if you have files on the cloud, and then we have shared with, we have Lightroom photos, we have deleted. All right, so let's go back home now and see what we want to do. Let's go back to the home. Now on the home, we have the image of some worked on document I had earlier done, but this is not what we want to talk about. Talking about the interface of the Photoshop, we want to create a new document to see what the working interface looks like. We can just mouse over this new file button here and then go create a new file. But for emphasis sake, let's go up here where we have our tabs, and let's go mouse over our file tab and then click on new. Voila. And then now the basic thing is, when you click on new, but it doesn't matter where you're clicking from, maybe from here or from the file tab, this dialog box pops up. This dialog box is what determines what the outcome of your project is going to look like. Your proposed outcome of your design, of your graphics, of your photos is what you need to set up here. So everything you would see at the end of this project is determined by the settings you put in here. So these are some of the, as you can see, my tab is on recent here. This is some of the recently used ones, and then we have saved, that's the one I saved myself, and then we have photos, we have prints, we have art and illustration, web, mobile, and film and video. Let's keep it straight, let's keep it simple for this video now. So basically, to the right side of this dialog box, I have my preset details. These preset details are how I want my graphics to turn out. All right, so let's quickly make a title for this one. I'm going to title this truth, that is tutorial. All right, and then what's my width? I'm leaving my width as 1000 width, my height at 1000 height. Right, in pixels, you should know we have other calibrations, other measurements, which is inches, centimeters, millimeters, points, and picas. But we're going straight to just make a simple tutorial here. So let's keep it simple. As earlier said, our resolution is 72, which is best, and 72 per pixels per inch. That's what we're saying. We're keeping our color mode at grayscale. Now I'm doing this, I'm using grayscale because I need us to see what the grayscale preset will confine our graphics to, the limits to which our graphics can go based on grayscale. You can see there are other options of color there. We have bitmap, we have RGB color, we have CMYK color, we have lab color. I'll be doing the explanation of the meaning of all of these things in another video, not this one. We have 8 bits right here. Our background is transparent. You can choose anyone. It could be white, black, background color, transparent, or customized. All right, so next is color profile. We don't want to color manage, just want to use as good as best as you can provide. And then pixels aspect ratio is square pixels. All right, so that's just the basic things to just put together to make sure that your graphic turns out the way you want it to look, especially the size. Most times when I'm designing, I use a square measurement. That's the width and the height is the same, so there's no orientation. I'm just doing the square. So I haven't said all this. Let's I forget, I need to mention this one. Now these settings here, all of these settings here can be saved. I can save this setting for future use. So if I need to save this, I'll just come over here, mouse over here, click on it, and then I save the settings. But I'm not saving this one. This is just a tutorial. Let's go straight and start for us to see one or two use of those tools. So I hit create, and then Photoshop brings up the main Photoshop interface. So next here is the main Photoshop interface. Alright, so without further ado, let's go straight and start from the top left corner with the logo of our Photoshop right there. When I mouse over and click, you see restore, move, size, minimize, maximize, and close buttons as usual for almost all graphic softwares. So unlike the Microsoft application softwares, the first bar here is always the title bar, but in this case we have our tabs bar to be the first bar. And the first bar here, we have our file, image, layer, type, select, filter, 3D, view, plugins, window, and help. And then before I move to talking about, okay, let me start from file first. If you click on the file, you can see all of these things here. You know what file is about. It's about saving, opening, retrieving, and all of those activities. So basically that's what file is about. Edit, we're going to talk about all of these tabs in other videos where we will use their functions extensively, but for this interface video, let's just go and do a recap of everything. But before I move to the right upper corner of my screen, I need to talk about this Windows tab. This Windows tab is important to talk about because it determines what we see on our screen. Everything you see on the screen is predetermined by this Windows tab. This Windows tab right here. As you can see, here is why this window is so important. Now we have some tools checked here on this Windows. We have this color, we have layer, we have properties. Now if you check on this other side of my screen, you can see color is there, which is the color right here. We have layer, which is the layer right here. We have properties, which is the properties also checked in this Windows tab. So this Windows shows everything we want to see on our screen while we work on our project. So basically, this window is so important that it determines a lot of things. Now, if you click on this window, the first tool here is arrange, and there's an extension from it that shows tile or vertical tile or horizontal. This just shows how you want your tools, what kind of tools you want to see, and how you want them arranged. So these arrangements is just based on how convenient those tools would work for you, what you want to see them on your screen. Now, on the second one says workspace. As you can see, I'm basically on Phototooth. Like this Phototooth workspace had been earlier saved, that's why you can see it there like that. But for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to change this one from this Phototooth to a new one. So I'm just going to click on new workspace. So I'm going to change this to tutorial. I'm going to change to tutorial. So I'm going to save that. As soon as I save that, if I come here and hit on my window and go back to workspace, you can see my tutorial right there. So there are other kind of workspace I can use that are presets. You know, there are other preset workspace I can use, like the 3D graphics web, the motion, the painting, photography, blah blah blah, and so on. So but for the purpose of this video, I just want to stick to telling us, I just want us to know that this workspace, which is from this Windows tab, this workspace goes along with to determine what we'll see on our screen. For example, let me check one of these tools here. Let me say I check character, for example. Now character pops out here. Character is standing here on a panel, that is detached from these other ones. So most of the things in these, most of the tools embedded under each tabs here are things you can actually pull out to be seen on this panel. But before we go to this panel, let's just come back and talk about the second bar. This second bar is what I call easy access function bar. Easy access function bar. I call it easy access function bar because all the tools that we have here on our tools panel have their functions here. So when I switch from one tool, which is this is the move tool, if I switch from move tool to another tool, let's say this, if I switch to rectangular market tool, you see that there's a switch, there's a change here, there's a change on this bar because all of the functions here belongs to this market tool. If I change to my polygon tool also, as soon as I hit my polygon tool, all of the things here changes because they are functions of this polygon tool. If I change to my quick selection tool also, they change because this bar is quick access function bar. This quick access functions bar. So all of these functions belongs to this tool on these two panels. The third bar here is the title bar. As you can see, we earlier saved our document, our project as tools, so you can see the name of our title there. And then if you have another project you're working on side by side, you will have them aligned all on this bar. So basically, let's start for the bar, and then we have our ruler, our horizontal ruler here. and then on this side we have a vertical ruler. Next is this tool panel. On this tool panel, I'd like us to talk about all of these tools. I'll just mention them by their names and then we'll move on to the next thing. This is my move tool. This tool, I can use it to move anything. I just click and hold whatever I need to move, and I'll move them around to any position within this Canva. And then also this next tool here is a rectangular market tool. It's a rectangular market tool you can use to mark shapes, and you can see right there as the display is being done. All right, also next to that is a polygon lasso tool. This we use to also mark, but not in shape. We use this one to mark. We use this one to make selection of the objects we want to trace. All right, also next to that is our quick selection tool, and then next to that is our crop tool. Also next to that we have our frame tool, and then we have our eyedropper tool. We have our healing brush tool, a spot healing brush tool, and then we have our brush tool. We have clone stamp. We have our history brush. We have our eraser tool. We have our gradient tool, and then we have our blot tool. We have our dodge tool, and then also our pen tool, our text tool, which is horizontal text tool in the meantime. And then also next to that is our path selection tool. Next to that is rectangle tool. Next to that is our hand tool. And then next to that is zoom tool. Then we have here edit toolbar. If we need to edit toolbar, just like we usually do in the customized access toolbar of Microsoft Word. All right, so basically we have some other things there to switch from our foreground to background. Here we have our set background colors, set foreground color. We have our edit and quick marks tool, and then this here we have screen mode. If you want to change from full screen to minimized or shrink screen. So then before I move to the next thing, I'd like to mention here that all of these tools have sub tools right underneath them. If you check for each of these tools, you'll see a tiny little diagonally pointing arrow here. When I click on that arrow, this brings out the sub tool under these tools. For all of these tools here, we have sub tool. You see, we have move tool, we have artboard tool. If I move to say brush tool, we have a number of brush tool, which is brush tool, pencil tool, color replacement tool, mixer brush tool. If you go to the eraser tool, you have a couple of tools on sub tools under that. You have background eraser tool, you have magic eraser tool. Everything has sub tools under them. So using all of these tools might take us a series of classes. But for now, let's just stick to the simplicity of this video as promised earlier. Now moving to my right hand corner of my screen. Before I move to that, let's talk about the Canva here. This Canva is just the size that we have chosen from the initial setup of our preset details. Now this is 100 by 100, as you can see. This is 1000 rather. This is 1000 by 1000, as you can see from here. The roller says 0 here, and then it runs all the way to 1000 here. So moving on now to the right hand side of this screen, still on our tabs bar. On our tabs bar, we have the minimize, shrink and grow, and then close, which is escape button on our tabs bar to the upper right corner. Then here we have our paint, we have our color rather, we have our color as checked from our Windows tab, So we have our properties. So this property shows the property of the layer you are on, and then we have our layer itself. So if there was an object here, you would have seen the properties of that layer that I'll be on, but we don't have a background here, we don't have a layer, we don't have anything. We just have an empty document we're about to work on. Lest I forget, on this function bar here, we have this share document, we have search, we have different type of workspace. This is a shortcut to workspace actually, and then we can also share this image based on what you want to do. So this button, and then this button here says share. All of these are just panels and tools that we use on Photoshop to make our work better. The interface, you have the taskbar again, you have the function toolbar, you have the title bar, you have the tools panel here, you have the roller, both horizontal and vertical. You have those tools and functions under Windows here. You have our panel right here with sub tools. Everything has sub tools. If I hit on my character ribbon here, you see different kind of sub tools under this character ribbon. Then we have paragraph underneath it too. We have paragraph underneath it where we can make adjustments to our text. And then also, lest I forget, we have some tools down here which are also basic shortcuts to some of the things we have inside these tabs panel here. Alright, in subsequent videos we'll be learning how to use all of these tools. Trust me, it takes a lifetime to learn Photoshop. Next now is for us to check out just a little test out on how these tools work together. So we're just going to do a simple graphics, a sample for this tutorial, and then we'll call it a day. So based on what we earlier discussed, I'll just pick one or two tools around here, use them and see how best they work. All right, so what do I want to do? Let's just do something simple for us to see. It's Photoshop tutorial. I'll pick on my type tool, which is horizontal type tool. When I mouse in here, I'll click anywhere here for me to do some typing. So this is Now Academy. I'm just going to do Now Academy. Okay. As soon as I'm done typing, I would need to always check this box to tell the system, yo, I'm done typing. If you have a keyboard that is the normal keyboard, when you hit your enter button on the keyboard, this mark is automatically checked. So I'll move back to I'll mouse over my move tool again so as to move this layer. As you can see, as soon as I was done typing, this layer shows here that I have a new layer that is called Now Academy. All right, I want to type something else. I'll just go and see what next should I type. Now Academy intro. I'll say introduction. I'll check it again. Introduction. Let me type the next thing. So okay, that's a new layer also. As you can see, as I type, as soon as I'm done typing and I hit the check mark, you see the layer comes up here. Introduction to Photoshop. I'll check again. By Napoleon Wayne. Right, I'll just check this. So here is what I like to do. I like to put all my layers in perspective first before I continue working. So this is by Napoleon, but in this case I have my Now Academy at the top. So what do? I just go and rearrange all of these. Let me quickly rearrange. I just rearrange all of these and then we continue. So first thing here is Now Academy. Now Academy should come up. Introduction should go up to Photoshop. Now I need to say here that this arrangement is based on the limit of what we're about to do. Sometimes you may not be able to arrange your layers like this in order to get the best of results. So but in subsequent videos that will be further explained. But for now Academy is the first thing. Introduction is the next thing. To Photoshop. I'm just trying to put my text into perspective, but here it looks like we can't really see the text well enough. So what I'll do, I'll just go here, click on my layer, click on my rectangle tool. As soon as I click on that, my mouse transforms to a plus sign where I can just click and hold and drag down here to draw my rectangle. Now my rectangle comes up as a gray color. Why? Because we chose the color profile to be grayscale. So this is my rectangle now, and it's showing like it's making my text invisible. So I'll come here to the color fill. My color fill for this, I'll change to white. I'll just change to white. Okay, so that's we have there. I'll just strike out this. I'll just strike out the stroke, because we don't need stroke as a box that is extended beyond our screen. So I just go back to my move tool. While my move tool now, we can see the text clear enough. Let's quickly do some few changes to this text. Let's make some few changes on this text and then have a better design. So you could just leave this like this. This is looking cool. Now Academy, Introduction to Photoshop by Napoleon Wayne, and everybody sees it on the platform. But no, we don't want it to look like this. We want it to look a lot more like graphics. So let's go do some graphics now. So trying to make this a bit more graphical, I'll just do some little changes. Like Now Academy, we want this to come together a bit. This is 2000, space between each text. No, come on, let's leave it at 25, and then it mops up together like that. And let's change the font style quickly. We'll change the font style to let's see what we have here. Okay, I think Cormorant font is just best for it right now, or Felix Statement. Okay, I think Cormorant is not bad. It's not bad, but we need to increase the size of this. It's Now Academy, it's come about. Alright, so we increase the size a bit. It's taking the system some time to think, and I don't know why. Alright, so let's just move on. Now Academy. Now Academy. It's looking so big and bold right there. Let's reduce the beat. Just a bit. That's 360, whatever. We'll just reduce the beat to 3. 300. We can mouse in and just highlight the digit to 300, hit enter, and then this comes down to 300. All right, so let's move it to the center of the canvas. You see, once you get to the center of the canvas, you can see that line showing right there. All right, so we will have introduction. What do we do to introduction? Now the problem here is we're limited to black, white, and grayscale because our color profile while we're doing our preset was grayscale, so we can't switch to any other color. If not, I would have just mouse over here where the color is. I'm on introduction layer. I can just change my color to red. I want red. Unfortunately, we can't have red because we set our preset. We did our preset details to only accommodate grayscale. So we have white, black, and gray here, shades of gray. All right, so let's go back here and change this to black and see if it works. Voila, it works. So we have introduction. We have Now Academy, introduction to Photoshop. This is looking cool. Not cool enough. Let's go ahead and say, okay, introduction. Let's bring this down to 0. 2 is now within the reach of our introduction. So let's move this way a bit. Let's see if that works. And then let's bring Photoshop. I need to do something dynamic about Photoshop now. Now let's see. Okay, I'm just going to think out of the box. Okay, all right. We have this tool here, but notice that in the letters of Photoshop, we have this TO right in the middle. See, right in this within this middle of Photoshop. So what can we do? Let's just take this tool off by shutting this eyedropper right here. When I shut this eyedropper, that tool disappears. We can't see that tool anymore because the eyedropper has been shut. But let's bring it back up because we'll need it. But then let's go back to Photoshop and see what we can do to Photoshop to make it look good. All right, because of what I have in mind, I'll just go click this type tool, come back here, click on my Photoshop, position my cursor where I want it to be. I'll take this TO off. I'll take the TO off and then I'll check it. No, am I supposed to check it? All right, I'll just bring this close. Like say 50. So that's 50 there. Okay, that's 50. Let's go back here to this and make space for our TO. Let's make enough space for our TO. Check this and bring this font size up a bit. Bring this font size up a bit. Let's see if we have 1000. Can 1000 do the job? This is 200. 200 can do the job. 200. Well, let's have 300. Let's have 300 right there. I just type that in and okay, I think 300 should work. Go back to our move tool. Move this guy back a bit. I think this might be a lot for us. Now let's reduce this to 250. 250. Hit enter there. Let's go back to our type tool and reduce the space. But before we do that, what do we want to do to this guy? Let's bring this TO to the middle here. Let's change the font size. This is 3. This is 250. Photoshop is 250. Let's make this 500. See what size we have. Not big enough. Let's make it 1000. I'm just thinking we could do something cool. Yeah, we could do something really cool. Right, so let's bring this down a bit. Okay, I think we need to separate this T and O layer. So let's come here while we're on our T and O layer. Let's duplicate this layer by pressing Ctrl J. Now we have another copy of our TO. I'll shut this first one up and then I'll be on my previous layer, which is the first layer, the original layer. I'll go do let's see, let's take this T off. Take T off. On my type tool, take T off, and then we check this. And then we'll shut that layer and bring the copy layer back up. Don't forget, it's the same thing. So whatever changes you see here is what we have. So let's see now. Let's take O off on the second layer. Let's take O off on the second layer, and then let's check it. Let's bring our O back up. Let's bring our O layer back up. There's a lot of details here, right? All right, so let's go back to our move tool, and then move our O this way. Now, I don't want us to get anything wrong. Let's move our T to the top of the O. Let's move T to the top of the O. Okay, until T is not showing the other hand anymore. So this looks great. This looks cool. Now, this is Now Academy introduction to Photoshop. Cool, this is looking really good. Right, so let's see what we can do to this. Let's bring this up together. Let's bring Photoshop up together. We had 50 here. Let's do 10. I think 10 should work. Okay, I think 10 is working. Let's move it this way a bit. 10 is a bit too much. Let's say -25. I need us to bring this really close to each other. Yeah, I think this will work. Yes, I want it to be like that. Or let's go further by Maybe minus 50. I think minus 50 will be a bit too much. Minus 50 will be a bit too much, but let's see how it turns out. I don't want it to go, I don't want it to be detached from each other so much. Okay, so let's do minus 25, 35. Let's do minus 35 and see what we have. Okay, I think this is cool. This is just perfect. So the S is touching the O from here. This O is touching the T from here. I think this is just perfect. Perfect. So here I want to do 1 or 2 animations. I'll just group this into each other. Let's put this in a group. Click on T, hold down your shift button, and then click on the last layer you want to bring together, which is Photoshop. After selecting that, Ctrl G will help you group them together. Alright, so I'll rename this to be Photo. Okay. Alright, so if I need to reduce this in size as a whole, I'll just go ahead and reduce this group. Alright, so we want to do quick manipulations on this O. Let's go here, double tap on this side of this layer, of this O layer. I'm gonna double tap here. I think there's another mix. I'll come down to this function. Let's just double tap here, and then this dialog box pops up. So we have this dialog box here, and we just want to do a little manipulation. Drop shadow for O. What's the color of the shadow? Black. Yeah, that's okay. It's okay. This is cool, right? I think this is just cool. It's always looking so good. Okay, so what else? I think that's just about it. We just okay this. Our T is not looking like that. We want to change our O to a white color. Yeah, let's change our O to white. Let's just drag, click anywhere, and drag to this corner of color picker. There you go. Always looking so good now. I don't know, should we add lines between? I don't think so. For our T, what can we do with T? T is looking so dry, so lonely. So let's do something to this T. Let's go back and see. Alright, for T, I would like to use the other means of getting into this box. So let me just close this first. I'll just close this first, and then come down here and say function. You click on this function, you go to blending option, yes. Yeah. Means how does this blend with this? Let me right click here. Okay, so our box is out. Let's just say inner shadow. Let's say this is inner. Let's give this inner shadow. Right, this is cool. I think it's so cool. For me, all of the settings is just perfect. They're just perfect. Let's do this as 25 or 24. 25 is fine. Let me see if I change this pattern. Yeah, it's looking ugly. Let's go back to the normal one. Alright, so just trying some few things out. Okay, so the choke, let's reduce the choke. Okay, let's leave the choke like that. No, that's a bit too much. The opacity is a bit too much. Right, 60 is fine. And then color overlay. Yeah, color overlay is black. So I'll just okay that. Now for our Photoshop, I don't know what to do to this. Alright, let me import something I earlier downloaded. I'll just go to my download. And bring this picture in. Now notice that this picture, this image here is coming in and it's going to be on top of this old layer. Why? Because I was on my old layer before bringing it in. Wherever you want your picture positioned, at the top is where you stay before you bring in the image. If I want my image position on T, I'll be on T first. So the image is coming in to the top of the layer you are currently on. So I'll just close all of this effect for T and O to give us enough space within this panel. Then I'll go here and also raise this guy up a bit. I need to see some of this color. Do this color up a bit. Come on. See, I can adjust my panel. I can move it and switch it however I want it to look to make me comfortable. Alright, I can see all of my layer at once now. So I'm trying to make this CS file. I'm just going to select it, transform it by clicking Ctrl T, and make it big for me to be able to work on it easily. Okay, let's make it big enough. So this is big enough. I'll hit the check button and then go here for this quick selection tool. So I just want to use this tool so that you can see how it's done. This is the quick selection tool. I just double tap on this black side and then you select, double tap here, you select, double tap here, you select it, double tap here also, then double tap here, and lastly double tap here. So this is selected already. I'll just, next is to right click on the CS, that's the name of that image, rasterize the layer, and then Shift Control I will help me select everything on my Canva, everything within my Canva aside from this one earlier selected. So when I hit delete, it deletes everything concerning that image alone within my Canva and leaves that image that was earlier selected. Don't forget I inverted the selection. So I dropped this one and selected every other thing. So I deleted every other thing and left this. Control D will help me deselect it. Then I'll go back to my move tool to move this into this O, into my heart, come into my heart. Alright, so I would Lord Jesus, I would click and hold this shift to reduce the size of this so that I can place it right in the middle of this one. Now here's what I want to do. I'll just place this right in the middle, right? I think we have it in the middle. I'll check it to drop it. Now after being dropped, I need to adjust this layer to the center properly. Okay, I think I'm fine like this. Then I'll just move the layer to the back of O. I think it makes a lot of sense like that. A whole lot of sense. I'll just repeat more. A whole lot of sense like this. If I wanted to reduce this more, alright, check this. Did you check on? Alright, so here we have our Photoshop, our camera shutter logo within the Photoshop introduction. We have our camera shutter within the Photoshop introduction, and I think this is a lot cool. So this is okay, so I think I would like to reduce the size of this image, the O and the T. So I'll just click them all up together, hold on shift, reduce them in size. Okay, I think that's not bad. That's not bad at all. Okay, I think this is fine by me. Girl, you so damn fine. Said you fine. Alright, so here we have our introduction to Photoshop. So I'll go back to my group. This is my group where Photoshop is part of the group. Just increase the size of this. Hold down your shift to drag from any corner and everything increases together as one. Okay, so Photoshop is our major focus. Introduction to Photoshop. Let's bring this down a bit. Bring this down a bit. That's cool. Now Academy should come down a bit too. I think I want to reduce the size of Now Academy. Right? Yeah, right. It's 300. I'm just gonna do 250. 250. Hit enter to reduce it in size. System is a bit draggy right now. Stressed. I don't think 250 is cool. I need something to run from one end of my text to the other, so I'll do 280. 280 is just perfect. It's so cool now. So 280 is just fine. Now one last thing I'm missing out here is Napoleon Wayne. Yo, come on. Napoleon Wayne. Okay, so let's go to our Napoleon Wayne layer and see what we can do with this. Let's change the font to Caveat. Right, I think Caveat is just cool. Changing it to Caveat. Reducing the space in between each text to like -25. Taking off this uppercase here. The uppercase was checked before. If I uncheck it, it brings it down the way. And then I'll just place it by the side here. Stay here. But I need it loud. I need it to be black. Yo, no, that's white. I need it to be black, like black, everything black up. Yo, that's cool. It's looking sort of cool though. Okay, so let's do one more thing. Let's just put with our rectangle tool. Let's just add that rectangle to the inside of this. I always like to do this because it gives your job some kind of beauty. The frame, that's dependent on choice though. Not everybody likes it. Okay, so here's the rectangle. I'll kill this one and I'll kill the fill and leave the stroke. I leave the stroke in broken lines, right? Leaving the strokes in broken lines. Let's go back to our move tool so we can see this clearly. I'm leaving this in broken lines. Which one is more better? I think dotted lines are a lot more, makes a lot more sense, you know. I think this was nice. Yo, so here we are, our academy. Now here we have our Now Academy introduction to Photoshop and by Napoleon Wayne. So cool. What more do we add to this? Let's see if we can find the pattern as earlier downloaded. I don't think I have any pattern here I would want to use. Let me go to my desktop. Multiply. So this is 51. Let's reduce it a bit more. Yo, so that's that for our Photoshop tutorial introduction. Let's go up here and see how we can save this. How do we save this? What do we do to save this? Let's just go to file. I'd usually like to save for web. So here is export. Just click on your export and then save for web. You're gonna have other options. Yeah, there's tons of ways of saving Photoshop projects. So, and here for web, I'm using PNG. You can change most of these settings. You can see a lot of keys and buttons and ribbons everywhere with superb functions and great effects to whatever the outcome of your project will look like. So be mindful, we need to learn all of these things, but we'll do that as the video goes on. So if you haven't done that yet, please click the like button, follow, like, share, subscribe so you can see new videos as soon as they are being posted. Just stay updated. So let's click on save and then we save this to our desktop. We'll just save this to our desktop as truth and then we're done. So hit the like button, the subscribe button, the love button, all of the buttons necessary for you to hit for this tutorial, and join us in the next video as we talk about the next use of Photoshop. It's going to be a different story entirely for the next video. Probably going to work on a picture or photograph and see how some of these other tools can be used aside from the one we had used in this video, and then move on from there. All right, see you in the next video.